Today I'm going to show you how I can sweet potatoes. So I've already washed and peeled quite a few sweet potatoes. So I'm going to show you how to break down these extra large sweet potatoes, which in my opinion they're the best for canning because you're not really going to use them as baked sweet potatoes because they take so much time to cook. So if you rotate this potato as you're cutting it, makes it a little bit easier to keep a nice flat surface. There. Do one more. So I'm not trying to get really small pieces because I like to use these as roasted sweet potatoes. So I'm gonna get these down to a decent size. And this is a funny shaped one, so it makes it a little bit harder. That's pretty much the size I'm going for. About, I guess I would say, 1 inch. Then you're going to take it and you're going to take your nice clean jar. This is a cold jar. It's not, none of this is heated. My sweet potatoes are just raw. I'll be raw packing this, which is a little bit different. When it comes to canning. So just give it a rough easy chop. Put them in the jar. And so since I'm raw packing these, and I also will not be adding any liquid, I want to stuff them in there really tightly. As the sweet potatoes cook, they're going to get smaller and smaller. And since there's no liquid in there, I don't have to worry about anything pushing up onto my lid and causing it to burst. So I'm actually going to go all the way up to almost touching the lid with these, which I'll show you in a moment. I almost have this jar full, or at least it looks like I do. I'll show you another trick in a second to get them packed in here really well. So another thing, make sure when you go to peel your sweet potatoes or you go to chop them, make sure you have a really sharp knife. It does make all the difference, especially when it's to this point and you're breaking it down into smaller pieces. You really need that nice sharp knife. Alright, so almost have this, so it looks like I have this jar completely full, right? So I'm going to take my lid and I'm going to put it on. This is also a cold lid, and I'm going to shake it this direction, and by doing that I'm forcing all of the potatoes further down in the jar, and look how much more space I have now. If I didn't do that, I would end up with a lot of empty space in my jar when I was done processing, and I just want to use it all up if I can. No wasted space. So this can actually handle quite a bit more. I'm gonna get a little bit more in there. Let's see. So again, like I was saying, I'm not worried with headspace on this one. I'm not trying to have a 1 inch or 1/2 inch or anything like that. I just want to have my potatoes packed down in there as well as I can and get as many in as I can, because like said, they're gonna cook down and then it's gonna be airspace in there where I'm storing air instead of potatoes. I'd rather not store air if I can help it. So shake them one more time, and as you can hear, my jar is now making way less noise. So nice and tight. Turn on its side so you can, well, you can't because the band is on there. But if you'll look, I'm right up to the top, but I'm not actually touching the lid. And then that just gets put over to the side, and I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so just to show you real quick, I do have 7 quarts. You can see they're full all the way up to the top. They are, however, not touching the lid, so they're really probably at the 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more mark. There's nothing in these jars but diced sweet potatoes. There's no salt, there's no water, there's no citric acid, nothing. It's literally just sweet potatoes, and they are raw, and my jars are cold. So the next thing I have to do is move them from here into my canner. Now, because they are cold, the rules of canning say cold goes with cold. So my canner is completely cold. I have put that little bit of water in the bottom. This is going to be a steam can. So I have the water in the bottom. I have my rack flipped over so that I'm steaming, not water bathing. And once I have everything in here, I'm going to get the lid on, and last one, get the lid on and get them going. So remember, you want your steam holes in the back, which are these. You have your dial, that's what signifies you have a steam canner system. I'm gonna put this on high and bring my pot up to temperature. And I'm if you're new to steam canning and you didn't see my canning cranberries video, if you go back to that, there's a lot of information about how this works and everything. But what I'm doing, so I've turned my canner on, it's currently stone cold. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch this dial, and I want to see when that marker gets all the way over to the beginning of that dark green line, because my altitude is in zone 1. So once I get to that dark green line, my canner has come up to temperature. It will be at a full rolling boil, and I can start my processing time. Now for these, because they are low acid, this is a 3-hour canning period, and I know that sounds really long. If you have a pressure canner, you can make it much faster. I'm not comfortable with pressure canning, so I stick to water bath canning. But 3 hours, whether you're water bathing or whether you're steam canning, and that is continuous. You can't do an hour, take a break, come back, do 30 minutes. It has to be 3 hours of continuous canning at temperature. It's taken about 10 to 15 minutes, and we're now boiling away down in there. And you'll see we have reached temperature. So I'm going to drop my heat down to 1 notch above low. And I'm going to set my timer for 60 minutes. I know I said this is a 3-hour can, but I like to come back and check on everything at least every hour. A lot of times it's more frequently than that, but definitely every hour. And what I'm checking when I come every hour is I look down in there and make sure I still have enough water, make sure everything looks okay. and make sure I'm still up to the correct temperature. And I'll be back in an hour. Okay, so it's been 3 hours. Sweet potatoes are now done. I'm going to take off the lid. I've turned the heat off, but with these, since they don't have any liquid in them, I'm not concerned with them siphoning. So I can take the lid off right now. I don't have to wait the 5 minutes, and it'll be just fine. Sit this over here, out of the way. Now, as you can, well, I don't know if you can or not because it keeps fogging up, but as you can see, the sweet potatoes in what was a super full jar have shrunk. So now I have about 3/4 full of a jar. So I'm going to get these all out and let them sit. And I know it took 3 hours to process these guys, but it really is not a hard recipe to do at all. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, if you're new to canning, you really should start with jams and jellies. I don't agree. I think jams and jellies are difficult. There's an element there of some skill that you have to have, and you have to be more particular about your timetables and your amounts and being super precise. These, super easy. Just chop up some sweet potatoes, put them in jars, everything's cold, put it in your canner, bring it up to temperature, set your timer, come back and you're done. It seems pretty simple to me. Oh, one's already popped for you. Let's see if another one will pop so we can catch it on camera. You can see they're bulged up. You can see they have created their own liquid and it is boiling away in there. So don't mess with these. Let them sit overnight before you worry about checking any seals or anything like that. Don't move them. Let them stay in the same place. And you'll have sweet potatoes first thing in the morning.